So I'm going to show you how to insert a queen into both a queen rate hive where you want to replace the queen and a queenless hive. So there's a lot of different scenarios here. I'm going to start with just the simple one. You've made a split, you know there's no queen in there, you want to put a queen in. So first off, there's a few different styles of queen cages. Every beekeeper is going to have their preference. These are the kind that I use. It's a plastic cage. Not my preference, but it's what I use and I sell. I like these ones the best actually. It's a small cage, it fits between the frames easily. It's got everything you need right there. The fondant, the feed that the bees have for transport goes in this little capsule. It works really well. The older ones, tried and true, are these larger ones. Lots of space for the bees, lots of feed, but they don't fit in the hive so well. So we'll work with the plastic ones since that's what I'm talking about. So you pick up your queen. She usually comes with 5 attendants in the cage, which are just worker bees. They're there to feed her and give her water. The queen can stay in these cages for usually up to a month, sometimes longer. The important thing is to give them water twice a day, and all that takes is dipping your finger in a cup of warm or room temperature water and just rubbing it on the mesh. And as long as you have a little bit of water on there, they'll be fine. Keeping them at room temperature, I usually just put a towel over top of them on the kitchen counter and don't put them near the oven or anything, and they'll last for a while. The other thing you can do is put them right into a hive and make sure that the bees can get at the screen, and they'll keep the queen alive. So when I get a queen, I usually I take her out to the hive I want to put her in, and I'll put her in there. And if I know the hive is queenless, I'll take this plastic off right away. The plastic is just there in case she eats the her and the workers eat the fondant out. You don't want them to escape in transport. So if you know your hive is queenless, you're 100% sure they've been queenless for a little bit, you can take that tape off right away. And I'll usually, if the fondant is hard, I'll poke a little hole in it. If it's soft, I'll leave it alone. And I'll just put the cage in, and I just put it in between a few frames, and I insert it with the exit pointing up just slightly, and so that the bees can get at the screen to feed the queen. And then I close the lid and I leave it alone for a good week. Under no instances do I ever come back and look, because you run the risk of stressing the bees out and having them reject the queen, and they'll actually kill a new queen. If you do come back in a week and she's still in there, you're usually good to just take the fondant out and release her, and then once again close it up and wait another week before disturbing it. When you go back, and if she is released within after a week, you should see some eggs, you should even see some young larvae. And if you see that stuff, you know the queen's there. You don't need to look for her and make sure she looks okay. As long as you see that stuff, she is okay. Now, the second scenario is you're not 100% sure that you have a queenless hive. And I would, for a lot of new people, I would err on this side, because you have instances where you have 2 queens in a colony. Or maybe you haven't found the queen. You don't necessarily know. Let's say you see no eggs or larvae, so you think the queen is gone, but she could be just infertile and she stopped laying. She's got old and she doesn't have any more eggs to lay. In that instance, I would set the queen cage on top and wait to see what the bees did. They should come up and pretty quickly they should come up and coat the cage, and they'll either be trying to feed her or they'll be trying to sting her. And if they're trying to sting her, they've still got a queen in that colony. If they're trying to feed her, they're probably queenless. In that instance, if they're happy with her, I put it in, I don't remove the plastic, give them 2 days to get used to her, and then I'll take the plastic off and let the bees release her by eating out the fondant. The key is making it as stress-free as possible so that the bees will accept that queen. If you happen to have a virgin in there, that's another instance where the bees might like her, but as soon as that virgin is mated and they've decided that she's the queen, they'll kill anything else that comes nearby. Another scenario would be a drone laying colony. So if I have a drone laying colony, what I do is I take the colony, I'll take it 30 feet away, and I bang every bee out, and then I'll set up the colony again back at the original location, and the worker bees all come back, and the idea is the laying worker stays out there and dies. And the key is there to put a queen in right away, like a queen cage, and let her release quickly. Within a couple days you want her released. Drone laying hives are difficult. There's good portion of the time they don't take a queen. They're a loss. You might as well just bang the bees out and start a whole new hive. There is another scenario where you'd want to, let's say your queen's getting old and you want to replace her. So the key there is you have to go into your colony and find the queen. So you have to look through, and once you've located her, you pinch her. And we like to call it the pressure test. And unfortunately, we've never had a queen pass the pressure test. And what the pressure test entails is taking her firmly between your thumb and your forefinger and squeezing. And the idea of the test is that if any queen survives that, she gets to live. But if she fails, you replace her. This queen's going to be difficult for me today and play hide and seek. I was going to pinch her. When you pinch her, it's important to throw the body down on the bottom board. It lets the bees find the body, and they realize that hey, we're queenless. We need a new queen here. So they'll be much more accepting of a new queen that you're putting into the hive if you've pinched the old one and left her body in the hive. A lot of people will toss her outside the hive, and then the bees take longer to realize they're queenless. There she is. So this is a marked queen, which is it's a queen I bought last fall, and she's not performing very well. So we're just going to take her, we're going to pinch her, and we're going to toss her on the bottom board. And right away, the bees start to congregate around her as soon as they find her. And it won't take long for them to realize that they're now a queenless colony, and they need to start raising a cell, or they need to be accepting of a new queen being put into the hive. Now, I mentioned a cell because if you have peaks of wax, it's not letting the frames go down. Let's say you don't have a mated queen. If you happen to find a hive that was about to swarm, you would have a queen cell in it, and you could take that frame with the queen cell and you could actually transfer it into a queenless hive, and then you'd essentially be requeening that hive and taking a swarm cell away from the hive that was about to swarm on you. The other way is you can either raise your own cells or buy cells. We raise cells here, and when I put a cell in a hive, I like to use one of these little orange things. It's called a cell protector, and basically you put the cell down inside of it, and then you just stick it down between the frames. And the purpose of the cell protector is to, if you happen to have another queen in that hive, she can't chew the side of the cell and sting the bee inside. It allows the cell to hatch, and then the queen is on her own to defend herself. But at least she has a chance to hatch. And that helps ensure that if you happen to have a queen cell in that hive, it gives you a better chance that the cell you're putting in is going to hatch and be successful. Because theoretically, that cell should be really good genetics, and whatever your bees have raised might not be. I think that's about all. Yeah. I guess that's it.